The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you. Oh, we have an ancient proverb in the village. The hunter who is chasing a bird does not tell the bird to stand still. Be peaceful. But look at the master in Washington. Donald Trump and Netanyahu have launched an all-out war they call Operation Roar of the Lion. But today, March 10, 2026, a Nigerian journalist has just torn the mask of their hypocrisy. The master is asking Iran, why are you having bombs with Israel? Why are you retaliating? Police, don't have this conflict. Africa, wake up. How can you set a man's house on fire and then ask him why he is screaming? This Nigerian voice is exposing the ultimate pattern interrupt. They want Iran to sit still while they finalize their leadership from the sky. The remote control is broken. Listen to the receipt this Nigerian report is laying out. They aren't having bombs because of a misunderstanding. They are at war because the US and Israel decided to play. You understand? On February 28, 2026, they launched nearly 900 strikes in the first 12 hours alone. They took out the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, and his son in his own compound. And now Trump is on television telling Iran, don't have this, and calling for a ceasefire soon because the receipts are getting too high.
Ambassador, I will not expect you to come here to accept that Israel has nuclear weapons without giving you the facts, but it's for you to deflect. Also, you were talking about Israel being a saint in all of this. I mean, we can go back historically, and I can tell you about the King David Hotel bombings, Argon and Shargon, and all the other atrocities. Even Gaza here, that Israel first denied the number of people killed in Gaza. Finally, they accepted the number. At first, they first said the numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry was wrong. Finally, they came around. Even what they're doing in the West Bank and all of that. And a lot of crimes, you know. The Israeli army is being investigated for a lot of crimes. And we all know that. So if you think Israel is a saint, I mean, it's your...
Well, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Let me finish.
Well,
Do not interrupt me, Ambassador. Let me finish. All right? So you can go ahead and claim all of that. But the interesting part is also the hypocrisy I see. Only last year, when you had a 12-day war, you said, I mean, the words of Donald Trump and Israel allies, they had obliterated the nuclear program in Iran. So if the claim then is that it's been obliterated, the question is, why are you still saying they will build nuclear weapon? Is it that the obliteration was not obliterated enough, or you want to re-obliterate the obliteration? That's part of the hypocrisy. Please answer that, Ambassador.
Well, before I go on to the second part, I mean, really, some of the statements you made in the beginning were outrageous and were absolutely based on no facts. To make some of these claims, for example, Israel still disputes the number of people that the Gaza Health Ministry, or in other words, Hamas, claim about Gaza. We absolutely do not accept those figures. I know there were reports in the paper that we did. That's just not true. And I can state that categorically now. And again, in that very complex war that the context of is, of course, that Hamas, sponsored by Iran, came across the border with thousands of terrorists, murdered, raped, tortured, and kidnapped thousands of Israelis. They murdered thousands of Israelis and kidnapped over 250 men, women, children, and babies, innocent civilians. That was the response, that Israel responded to that like any other country to defend ourselves. And in the course of a war is horrible, war is terrible. There were numbers of people killed within Gaza. I'm quite sure that there were civilians that were killed as well, and the death of any civilian is a tragedy. It doesn't matter which side those civilians were on. But we believe that the vast significant numbers within those were terrorists that were killed.
I asked you pointedly, Israel has a nuclear weapon. Iran is trying to build one. Is it justified to take away Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon when Israel has one? If we want truly a nuclear-free world, why can't all of us just drop our nuclear weapons like South Africa stopped their own nuclear weapons program? So you have the nuclear weapon. You don't want Iran to have it. Is it justified what you're doing?
Well, firstly, Israel has never said that we have nuclear weapons. That's your statement. Israel's policy has always been that we won't be the first country to introduce nuclear weapons into the region. But the issue here is not about Israel. The issue here is about Iran. Iran is the only country in the world, in the United Nations, who expressly desires to wipe another country off the face of the earth. Iran has stated its very policy is to destroy Israel, is to wipe Israel off the map, is to make sure they kill every single person. And no regime, no country that has an expressed desire to destroy Israel, and it's not only an expressed desire, we've seen over 47 years they've taken all the actions they can in order for that to happen. We've seen them sponsor terror organizations. They were behind October the 7th massacre of Hamas. We've seen them sponsoring Hezbollah. We've seen them acting in Europe. We've seen them acting in Australia. We've seen them acting in Nigeria. We've seen these people acting all across the world in order to spread disturbance, for them to try and carry out their aim of destroying Israel. And Israel will not allow another country to have nuclear weapons when they've expressly stated they want those weapons to destroy Israel.
But Israel is not a saint to themselves, because for all the terror you say Iran has carried out, Israel has also carried out that level of terror. And by one stretch, you've gone ahead to kill the supreme leader in Iran. So Israel too is not a saint in all of this. Okay. I yield the floor to you.
That's an absurd statement to make. Nigeria is the one. Nigeria has been on the receiving end of terrorism from Iran. We've seen Iran spreading terror throughout the world. Iran sponsors all of the major terror organizations in the world. If we look at Hamas, if we look at Hezbollah, if we look at the Houthis, if we look at the terror groups within Iraq, if we look at some of the other groups around the world, we have seen Iran carry out terror bombings in Argentina, where it blew up the Jewish community there. We've seen them carry out terror attacks in Bulgaria. We've seen them carry out terror attacks in the UK. We've seen them carry out attempted attacks in Australia. This is a country that sponsors terror, that is Revolutionary Guard is a prescribed terror group across all of Europe and many other countries around the world. It's quite clear that Iran is an international sponsor of terror, and to make any other accusation or any other claim is absurd. And I would also add, as one sentence, which we kind of forget, that less than 2 months ago, there were millions of people protesting against the Iranian regime, Iranians who said, we're not happy with what's going on in the country. And the Iranian regime's response was to gun them down and to massacre them. And anywhere between 30 and 70,000 Iranians were shot dead for purely saying that they weren't happy with their government. Right. And this is an illegitimate government.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Now, America has stated, well, the president has talked about the aim or what success would look like in this war to bring it to an end. A regime change is top of that agenda. What is Israel looking at from this war? I say this because back to the question around justification, there was no imminent, threat or indication of an imminent attack on Israel by Iran. Number two is that there are critics that have said that you don't respond to, potential war with force. You respond with an attack with an attack. What would you have to say about that? Because even within, your country, a number of people have stated that perhaps it wasn't justified. Yes, you talked about threats being made here and there, but no imminent action or no imminent strike was done by Iran. So Israel made the first move. Is it justified? That's the big question on a number of people's lips.
Well, Israel absolutely did not make the first move. Iran has been making moves for 47 years. For 47 years, they've been sponsoring terrorism. They've been attacking Israel. They have been blowing up Jewish community centers. They've been blowing up embassies. They have been firing missiles. They've been sponsoring terror organizations. They have been attacking people in Bulgaria, in Australia, in the UK. So Iran has been running a campaign of terror and attempting to destroy Israel for 47 years. And their slogan is death to Israel, death to America. When you talked about an imminent threat, well, since the 12-day war last year, Iran has gone all in on trying to move all of its ballistic missile capacity underground. It has invested in restarting its nuclear program and moving that deep underground. And within a few weeks or months, that program would have been so deep underground that it would have been totally immune from any form of strike or any form of attack. And Iran said that they were building missiles, they were building nuclear weapons in order to attack Israel and to destroy Israel. So there's no question that this is justified. But going back to your question about aims, our aims are very clear. Our aims are to ensure that Iran does not have the capability to attack Israel and to wipe Israel off the map, which means we are going to destroy their ballistic missile capability, we are going to destroy their nuclear weapons capability, and we are going to weaken a regime and the structures of regime that carried out the massacre of 30 to 50,000 innocent Iranians who were protesting in the streets. We will give the opportunity for the Iranian people to make a decision about the future of their country. It's not for us to decide what the leadership will be. It's for the Iranian people to make that decision. But we are going to eliminate the threat to Israel. We are going to eliminate the imminent threat to Israel that was being built by this Iranian regime. And we absolutely will continue to do that until we've achieved our aims.
All right. Well, I mean, some of the real concerns are around sort of the last part of your statement, which is that the Iranians are going to be allowed to choose their leadership. However, the dominant narrative, and we've heard so many comments from President Donald Trump as well, speaking about his preferable candidate, which makes this very clearly foreign-imposed regime change, which of course we know is illegal under international law. So, given the context that in most cases where we've seen specifically U.S. intervention or intervention involving the United States with organizations like NATO, in this instance it's U.S.-Israel, what usually follows after these attacks on the so-called heavy-handed dictatorial regimes is more chaos. So my question to you is, why do you think this will be any different from all of the other hundreds of instances in history? Well, maybe not up to hundreds, but below, tens of instances in history where we've seen foreign intervention with U.S. involvement, military action in the name of trying to remove a regime that is said to be despotic and to be against the people. And then what follows is even more anarchy and leadership that doesn't represent the will of those people, but rather panders to the whims and the interests of the U.S. and its allies. How is this any different?
Well, the current regime in Iran does not represent the people. The people came out and spoke against the regime, and the answer of the regime was to shoot them all, to kill them all, to massacre them, and then to
Mr. Ambassador, if I may just interject, the numbers are disputed because human rights organizations are saying that the numbers being quoted by the United States are inflated, that those were people who were planted. In fact, there are some reports that are saying that those protests were led by proxy, but that the Iranians themselves, who are indoctrinated into this theocracy, support Khamenei and the current leadership, as we saw when they came out to mourn him when news of his death came out.
Well, actually, what we saw on television were spontaneous shows of delight and happiness, and Iranians coming out on the street. They were letting off fireworks, they were cheering, they were dancing. We've seen Iranian communities that are really free around the world, all across the world, coming out and supporting this and saying they want a better future. But the issue here again, and this is Iranian propaganda, that no credible organization, no credible human rights or other organization claims that there were less than 30,000 Iranians that were massacred. Everybody accepts that the Iranian regime massacred its people. The exact number no one knows, but the estimate ranges from 30,000 to 70,000. These were spontaneous protests, and the Iranian regime massacred them. And that's the issue here. The issue is that this regime is not only massacring its own people, but we've now seen what it's doing in the region. And you mentioned this on your show earlier. They've fired rockets at Turkey. They've now fired at Azerbaijan. They've fired at Kuwait. They've fired at Saudi Arabia, at Qatar, at the United United Arab Emirates. They are Saudi Arabia. This is an Iranian regime that is destabilizing the entire region. Iran is destabilizing, is causing major problems, and that is the reason that this Iranian regime is an illegitimate regime that is building weapons of mass destruction, that is building a missile system to terrorize the region. And we've seen they're extending their range of their missiles to Europe now to try and attack Europe and to further places as well. This is a dangerous regime that is spreading instability, that for 47 years, its entire raison d'etre has been, according to them, death to America, death to Israel. And therefore, the action that's being taken both by America and by Israel in this operation is to make sure that they cannot carry out their death to Israel, death to America.
Okay,
They tell Iran don't do this, but Iran has unleashed the 33rd wave of missiles. The master is panicking because his short-term excursion has turned into a regional firestorm that he can't put out with a press release. This Nigerian journalist is reminding us that when the master starts a fire in the Middle East, our people in the village feel the heat. We have Nigerians stranded in Qatar and Dubai right now because the master closed the skies. We have a global security alert issue for Nigerians because the master's regime change plan has made the whole world a target. And look at the hypocrisy. They tell Iran don't have nuclear weapons, but who has the most? They tell Iran don't support armed groups, but who is funding the roaring lions that is unaliving children in southern Iran? The Nigerian report is clear. The master wants Iran to be peaceful, only so he can finish the job of looting their sovereignty. As the proverb says, he who is carried does not realize how far the road is. Trump thinks he is walking towards peace, but he is standing on a pile of receipts he can't pay. This is what they always go around to do. They tell other people you can't have this, you can't have that, but they are the ones who always have them. Even when the whole world heard Iran saying this isn't our intention, they still want to make sure that they have somebody there that they can be sure. Like the man said, if you don't want other people to have this, why do you have it? Then the world should just be free. But we can't say that other people should have this thing and others wouldn't have it. Why is it that nobody talks about North Korea? Because everybody knows that North Korea has all these things. And the moment you do it, North Korea is going to. So people are using this power to intimidate others. Imagine Africa having none, and we've signed that we are not going to have any. And this is the reason to which everybody are told that's what he or she wants. North Korea, the father saw the world far, far ahead of time. And so he tried to empower the country before he left. And that is why the son came and took over. Nobody talks about North Korea. Anybody at all that will do anything will make sure they don't bring North Korea. Because that man, Kim, is a person who hardly talks. The moment you try, you go collect. So this should tell us that we also need these things in order to be free. It's like when you have it, you are free. Nobody tries to intimidate you, like we are seeing happening in North Korea. If not, like he said, why are people having things and they're asking other people not to? If it is for the safety of other people, why is it not for the safety of all of us? So people can have it so we can all be free. The world has changed, and Africa, I think we are watching and we are learning our lessons, seeing what we need to be doing. We are understanding why we are powerless, and everybody tries to. We saw when China had their military parade, the things that they showcase. What do we Africans have? And will we continue to be watching like that? This is what AES leaders understood, and they are fighting for total sovereignty and taking their defense system into their own hands. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Nigeria.